Today I want to talk about what secure love looks like. Not everybody has a model for this. When we're kids growing up, our parents' household is really the only thing that we see when it comes to romantic adult love that's real, not in the movies or on the radio. And it can be really tempting to think that the love that we hear about on the radio and see in movies is imaginary, a pipe dream, too much to expect. Everything else that's our example is maybe middle school and high school relationships really don't give us any realistic idea of what love looks like. So I think it's fairly normal for lots and lots of kids to see really tumultuous, maybe even kind of toxic relationships, love relationships. I know that for me, my parents' relationship was not ideal by any means. We never really saw a lot of affection between them, and we saw the arguments. We saw the fighting. And so it really, if I think back, it seems like the kind of love that I aspired to, the bar was really low, The bar was really low because I thought that all the wonderful things that I saw in movies or even heard about from friends were, completely unrealistic. And I don't think it was until I was in my early 30s where my friends really started opening up about what their relationships look like. And thankfully, I had some friends who were in really good, healthy relationships. Now, that doesn't mean that those relationships were perfect, but they had a lot of elements that I didn't know were okay to ask for, Both the partners would really stand up for each other. Both the partners really deeply cared when something bothered the other person and didn't get super defensive about it, Both people showed each other affection really openly. They asked for the things that they wanted from the other person. And that sounded so good. It sounded so good to me. So that started my quest to try to make my romantic relationships look more like an ideal that I might actually be able to attain. That was a really exciting idea for me as somebody who maybe hadn't experienced it. And I don't want to trash talk the relationships that I was in before my mid-30s, because I do think that those men had the best intentions. I had the best intentions then, and I wasn't the best partner either by a lot. But starting from my mid-30s on, I really had gathered up some good role models, and I wanted my relationship to look like that. So I wanted to share with you guys today what some things are that you can realistically look forward to or expect or ask for in a relationship. And I just want you to know that these are not asking for too much, because I'm in a relationship like that now. My marriage with my husband, Chris, is far from perfect in many ways, but in many other ways, it feels darn near ideal because we have the things that I'm going to share. I don't have these written down, you guys. I'm winging it, but I think maybe it's easier to speak from the heart if I'm just going off the cuff about the really healthy things that I love about my relationship. I think the absolute best thing that Chris and I have going on is that if something truly bothers him or something truly bothers me, the other person genuinely wants to know about it. Now, that doesn't mean that the other person doesn't sometimes feel defensive. We're not perfect listeners, But we've definitely talked with each other in the calm, quiet times that yes, if anything's bothering you, please tell me about it. I want to know. And this is a subject I'm pretty passionate about too. As far as communication goes, the way that we bring those things up matters. If your significant other comes to you and they have an issue and the first thing that they're doing is, they're finger pointing, they're blaming you, they're making you feel ashamed for the thing that you did, it's going to be a lot harder for you to hear them. It's going to be harder to listen to that kind of feedback. So we've had a lot of years practice of bringing things up in kind, compassionate ways that still convey the seriousness of it. I told him, I always want to know when something's bothering you. Hopefully you tell me that something's bothering you, not necessarily in the heat of the moment if you're like really angry about it, but maybe after you've calmed down a little and you've, formulated a nice way to say it. In that case, I will always 100% be sitting here ready to listen, wanting to know what I can do to help. And he said the same thing to me. It's hard to imagine any problem that you can't fix when you've got two people who genuinely care about things that are heavy for the other person. The other cool thing that I have in my marriage is the appreciation that he and I need different kinds of affection. And this isn't that tired old, men want physical affection and women want emotional affection. I don't mean like that. I also don't mean necessarily like the love languages, which I talk about a lot on my Instagram because I love them so much. They're not science, but they're sure great at starting a conversation about how we give and receive love. But maybe the idea more so that you're not wrong for asking for any kind of affection that you could possibly want. I don't always want the same kinds of affection. And I hardly ever want the same kind of affection that my husband does. He and I are very different in general, but also, our moods and desires during the day don't hardly ever line up. But that's another thing that is important to us. If anything's lacking in our relationship from his perspective, I want to know, especially around affection, physical, emotional, or otherwise. And same with him. I don't ever want my partner to feel lonely when he's with me. A third thing, this one is a little bit more personal. In the past, I think I would always be really desperate to gain my partner's approval and acceptance. I don't feel like that with my husband, Chris. I feel like I can be weird or gross and he's really accepting of who I am at my worst, in addition to at my best, when it's easiest to accept somebody. And I think we don't see that even in the romantic ideal that you see in movies. It's harder to love somebody when they're not at their best, when they're crabby, or if they're a little bit depressed or they're unmotivated. It's hard. It feels a little bit harder to look at that person and gather them up and say, what do you need from me? But I have that in my relationship. And I just can't imagine ever going back to a relationship where I felt like that was missing, where I felt like I needed to be perfect or super attractive or always on the ball in order for somebody to show me love and support. I think that's one of those hallmarks of healthy relationships that is not talked about nearly enough. I don't even know now how you can consider yourself as someone who loves someone if you don't love them when they're struggling too. Hopefully those things help out a little bit. If any one of them are missing in your relationship, it doesn't necessarily mean that you or your relationship are doomed, but it's something that it's okay to strive for. And I hope that you do. I hope that it's okay to You don't have to watch this video with your partner, but bring it up to your partner. Hey, there's something that I feel like could make our relationship a whole lot better. Here it is. What do you think if it's something that we worked on together? The way that you say that to your partner matters too. If there's ever anything that I feel like is lacking in my relationship, I try not to approach Chris with like holding up our relationship as if it's something that has a crack in it or broken, you know? I say, here's this thing that I would like to add, and I think it would bring us closer together. Would you help me in adding this thing to our relationship? And he usually always says a very enthusiastic yes to that. But I just want to encourage you today, if you're watching, if there's something missing from your love, those things are absolutely okay to ask for. They're okay to expect if you're looking for a new relationship to get into. When you find those things, they just feel like coming home. The ability to be yourself and the ability to ask for the things that you need. I have trouble thinking of any other better demonstration of love. I'm trying to make these videos monthly, so thank you for watching. Any amount of time that you spent here watching this video helps this channel I'm trying to launch. And subscribe if you'd like to see some more.